Hey everyone, All About the Gyro here, and welcome to vlog number 2. And I am seated in my favorite power recliner chair with built-in massager. This is my nook here in my home, next to the fireplace. And today I wanted to do a response video, and so what I'm responding to is the superb video, I'm going to link it down below in the description, of Any Rabbit's discussion about does iRating matter? And it really gave me pause to kind of think about this at length. And I had one of those light bulb moments, and here it is. Once you understand what iRating is and what safety rating is, and then look at it in the context of how one drives, things reveal themselves. Let me explain. So, first of all, hi, Dwayne here. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. You know the drill. Secondly, yes, my sinuses are still flaring. My sinuses are pushing into my tear ducts, and so the eyes are just weeping. It's crazy. Weather changes in Middle Tennessee are known to be hard, and I'm living them. So I apologize in advance if I'm wiping away my eyes a little bit. So here's what I mean. iRating is a quantitative measurement. iRating is the numeric measure of how well do you drive. Safety rating, however, is a qualitative measurement. It's how safe do you drive during the skilled application thereof. And therein lies a big difference. What prompted this was Annie said in her video that when she was racing Skippy, she had steadily improved to at or near 1800 iRating. Well, when you look at the distribution, 1800 is to the right of average. That means she was better than 50% of people based on iRating. Now that she's gone to the Lambo GT3, she's lost 700 iRating points. She's back down into the 1100s. And so her argument is, well, this is my hobby, therefore my iRating matters to me. But at the same time, she has a very fixed amount of time because of her other obligations. Being a good wife, being a good mom, being a good worker. And so I thought about that at length. And once I realized what the two numbers are really saying, the correlations come naturally. So let's use an example. Ben Eves. Ben, clearly I think it would be safe to say, one of the very best skip barber drivers in the world. Probably the universe. He publishes videos on track guides of the Skippy setups. And he is often the man to beat. So, of course, when driving Skippies, you expect very high iRating, very high safety rating. Because that is a specialization. On the other hand, let's say one day Ben announces, you know what, I'm bored of Skippies. I'm going to go drive the LMP2s. They're two very different foreign cars. you have, what, a 650, approximately, 620 brake horsepower, high downforce, thoroughbred of an endurance car versus a Skippy that's, I think, less than 150 brake horsepower with little to no downforce. You would expect Ben's iRating in this example to do this. So it leads me to this generalization. There are two types of individuals. You have the specialist and you have the generalist. Annie made a very eloquent argument for the specialist. I'm now going to take the other argument and talk about the generalist, and then extrapolate for you what that means for you. It makes sense to be a specialist if you have a finite amount of time. In Annie's case, it's 2.5 hours a day. That's it. So how is she going to have time to drive anything else than Lambo GT3, Skippy, and she's dabbling a little bit of oval, but that's normally the change of pace. She doesn't have the luxury, therefore, to really try anything else without her iRating taking another hit. I myself am going through this right now. Last season, I was third in my division in Spec Racer Ford, and I was fourth in my division for IMSA GT3. This year, I took on two new cars, both of them Porsches, the 718 and the 991 RSR. I have lost now 400 iRating. And when Annie said what she said about going from Skippy's to GT3, that's when the light bulb hit and I go, oh yeah, I should lose some iRating because I'm learning a brand new car, a brand new series. So much so that my A license is now downgraded to a B because it has been that much of a struggle. However, what I'm finding is I'm enjoying driving a larger number of different cars. We've done a Sun Lab race. We've done a Skippy race. Let me swipe that there. And because of that, I'm realizing I may be more of a generalist. So, generalists, they often have more time in terms of less obligations that they have to deal with. And so it makes sense for them to experience a larger swath of cars and circuits. So here's what it means. If your time is finite, you should be a specialist. If you have more time available, you should be a generalist. Here's the rationale. As a specialist, you're only going to have time to do one championship, maybe two. That means you are becoming very tuned to a car. So if you look at the two competing curves, learning a circuit versus learning a car, what happens is you learn the car at a much faster rate than you learn your circuits because you have great repetition and it's very concentrated. It's deep, but very narrow. But if you're like me, who is fortunate enough to have more time, you should consider being a generalist. The thing about being a generalist is because you are choosing less time per car in your iRacing experience, you need to become a circuit specialist to preserve your iRating. That's the consequence. A great example of that is I have already certain circuits that I go, yeah, I need to drive there because I drive well there. Watkins Glen is one of those places. Suzuka is one of those places. And others will continue to reveal themselves as, okay, those are places that I need to drive my 4 times and max out my iRating and safety rating for those circuits, because as a generalist, your bad races impact you differently than if you're a specialist. Because as a specialist, one good race is really all you need, because you're looking at more of a championship point view at that point. As a generalist, one bad race, okay, you shrug it off, but now as you switch cars, if the snowball starts to occur, which has happened to me, you have a much larger confidence issue versus sticking to one car and going, okay, I didn't drive Donington Park very well in VRS Sprints. This week it's at Road America. I expect to do better because X, Y, and Z. So that's the first big correlation, specialization versus generalist. The other thing is, when you look at the curve of people who are on iRacing, quite candidly, I don't think iRacing matters very much, because iRating would matter if the curve was a normal distribution, as in a truly balanced curve. It's not. You have a left skew to lower iRatings. You have a higher density of people with lower iRatings. So my take on it is, don't worry about the iRating. It will take care of itself. You can easily get to 1,500 and 2,000, I believe, if you understand who you are, specialist versus generalist, and understand the approach required to maximize your gains and performance. As a generalist, you look at circuits. As a specialist, you look at cars, and you look at how drop weeks affect you. And that leads to my last point, drop weeks. As a generalist, drop weeks are more important than a specialist. Here's why. At the beginning of this season, I was looking to drive 3 series. Oh, 3 cars, I should say, but 4 series. European Sprint Series, IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, and Spec Racer Ford. 3 different cars, 4 different series. What I quickly realized was I didn't have the time because of my work commitment. And so I started making those choices, and I ended up settling on driving the 2 Porsches and in 2 main series, IMSA and the Michelin Pilot Challenge. A lot like college, the amount of time you put into it, you'll get out of it. So it's, how do you study and practice smarter and not harder? And the final point to kind of tie it all together is, with drop weeks, they are excellent ways to plan life activities and other things around the maximization of both your iRating and safety rating. If you're a generalist, drop weeks are much more important because in the example I gave with 4 series, I had already broke out my spreadsheet. Okay, I only need 8 results in each championship, the post. I would like to do 9, so I have my lowest score automatically dropped, and you can easily do it with careful planning. It's how do you manage your workload on iRacing. Now I'm down to 2 series, both of the IMSAs, because I really need to learn these cars. So drop weeks sometimes make you a specialist and sometimes make you a generalist. You need to be flexible. So to recap, great video, a great argument for specialization. I make the argument for being a generalist. If you get bored easily, you should be a generalist. If you want to sample more of the smorgasbord, you should be a generalist. If you have time, that's the big one, you should be a generalist. And understand that being a generalist implicates you being very selective on circuits because of the impact. As a specialist, you have one big race, you're golden, because you're normally running for championships, being a specialist. Being a generalist, you just want to drive. So, just some thoughts from my comfy chair. Anyway, I'm going to let you go for now. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. We are doing some Le Mans races this weekend. And the safety rating as of this recording, the recovery drive is almost complete. We're at B license 2.65. So we're going to drive Le Mans a couple more times. I think we're going to drive Skippy's a little bit because it's at Watkins Glen. And we're going to just get that license right back up to 4.0, get that promotion, Lord willing. And we're just going to continue learning about the Porsches and know that, yes, we've taken our iRating hits, but we will improve. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Make sure you take care of yourself and take care of one another. Goodbye for now.